It's time for the history of Nintendo. In 1889, this guy started to sell Hanafuda, or stiff paper, hand-painted playing cards in the city of Kyoto, Japan. Over the next couple decades, the company would become the largest card business in Japan. In 1940, Fushiro passed away. His great-grandson, Hiroshi, would take over the company 9 years later at the age of 22. Hiroshi Yamaguchi would expand Nintendo into various industries between 1963 and 1968. Nintendo's first new outing was Love Hotels, which actually were doing pretty well until they were shut down, ultimately to test out other markets. Nintendo also found success in the taxi industry, though they would quickly leave the market once a labor union dispute turned costly. Nintendo also attempted a venture as an instant rice company, but once again, Yamaguchi ultimately decided to focus on the company's historic roots in gaming. In the 1970s, arcades were the place to be. A man named Gunpei Yayoi would invent the beam gun in 1970. It was released to rave reviews. The beam gun was similar to other guns of the era, and it fit perfectly into that arcade space, which led to Nintendo's step into the video game industry. Ralph Baer, a German-American engineer, would create what would later be known as the Magnavox Odyssey. It was the first ever home console, and Nintendo would soon buy the rights to it in 1975. That same year, its first game, EVR Race, was released. In 1979, Yamaguchi's son-in-law became the president of Nintendo of America. He would soon base the company in New York City to help expand the business to the West. In the following year, Miyamoto would go on to create one of Nintendo's now most infamous games, Donkey Kong. Fun fact, Donkey Kong simply means stupid gorilla. In 1985, Nintendo would release its own console worldwide, that being the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES for short. Throughout the 80s, many of Nintendo's infamous franchises were birthed. The Legend of Zelda, Metroid, and of course, the man now without a profession, Mario. In 1989, Yayoi wanted to create a handheld gaming device after messing around with his calculator. His concept would eventually come to fruition as the Game Boy. A puzzle game that was acquired from a Russian developer by Nintendo would coincide with the Game Boy's release. This game, which was named Tetris, would go on to propel the Game Boy to sell like hotcakes. In 1999, Nintendo released the SNES. In the following year, the console's most profitable game came out, that being Mario Kart. Nintendo's next console was the N64, which would release in 1996, though the star of this year really goes to the birth of Pocket Monsters or Pokemon. In 2006, Nintendo released the Wii, which was praised for its simplicity and its focus on movement. It was one of Nintendo's first successes with their weird obsession of motion controls. The successor to the Wii was the Wii U, which came out in 2012. The console was a weird mesh of using your TV in this tablet-like device. The console had a lot of issues and was perceived pretty negatively. As such, it didn't perform well. The console now seems entirely like a prototype for Nintendo's new venture. As you probably know, Nintendo didn't give up on the idea of a hybrid console. The Switch would come out in 2017, and this console brought Nintendo back to the forefront of the marketplace. The Switch sold extremely well and fixed almost every issue the Wii U had, and it also expanded on its technology. Nintendo has been around for over a century now, and they still keep to their roots, making games for all to enjoy. And that's the history of Nintendo. Hello everybody, thanks for watching. If you want more history from me, why don't you check out my Sega video? Is there a topic you want me to cover? Tell me in the comments down below. See you next time.